toward the one,
the perfection of love, harmony, and beauty, the only being, united with all the illuminated souls who form the embodiment of the Master, the Spirit of guidance.
You all know that this has been a very compelling project for me, not in a personal way, but feeling the inner urge. And I know that that isn't true for everyone in this room and everyone in our community and everyone in the world. And I know that even though many people have their hearts completely along, I know, with mine, many people didn't see the same thing I saw. And so I really want to offer my apologies for whatever pain, suffering that's arisen and may still arise. And I'm here following my heart. And if you feel there's something that you want to speak to me about, please do. I'll try to be as open as I can. But this is so compelling for me that I followed it, and I see that it's helping some and hurting some, and I offer my apologies. So, most of you are in tune with aware of the project and the 8 years that it's taken to begin construction, and mostly the second half of this presentation will show the construction. And right next to me is Malik, who's been living at Lama pretty much since middle August, working every day, and I warned his crew to push him away from doing. His body's 74, and he's worked really hard alongside an amazing crew of holy beings, mostly local people, except for Malik, and even one of them's written us a beautiful letter of at least the process of construction, which was deeply sacred for everyone involved. So I'm just going to go along this. This is how the Dargah looked not so long ago. This was us at Lama Foundation, not this last year, but the year before. And I think, as it says here, most of you know that Murshid spoke out loud and said he had so much success. In fact, there's a white bag over there, Dargahs. I meant to have some notes with me. They're there. Thanks. Yeah. If I read you his diary notes of his experiences at different tombs, you would just be amazed. He had so much success putting his head down at Sufi Dargahs, and he expressed to us that we need places like this in America. Lama Foundation found us our architect. He came to India with us one year because he just wanted to really study every aspect of what a Dargah is. This is the roof of Selim Chisti's Dargah, and you can see some of the elements later are in our design. Now I've got a series of just sacred Dargahs. This is on the grounds. It's near the zoo, Purana Kila, the old fort, and just the architects of the time understood the geometry of music, how the musical notes are made out of geometry, and applied that same geometry to proportion in building. And that's why universally, these buildings are so appealing because they show us ourselves. They show the same geometry that we were made of in stone and wood and so on. This is now our lineage tree. This is the Dargah of Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti. Many of you have visited it. A very powerful place. Very, very powerful. This is his chief disciple. The next in the line, this is the Dargah of Khwaja Qutbuddin Bakhtiar Kaki. It's in Old Delhi, near Mehroli. And I think there's 3 or 4 of our lineage silsila buried in this in the wider compound. This is I skipped one because I've never been able to go there. Khwaja Baba Farid Ganji Shakur, who's buried in Pakistan. I've been invited a few times. I haven't felt safe to go, but I do hope in this lifetime I'll get to go there as well. So from Khwaja Baba Farid Ganji Shakur, Hazrat Nizamuddin Alia in Delhi, and this is a place that is filled every day with pilgrims. And what you're looking at here, close up, is one of his chief devotees was the daughter of Shah Jahan, Princess Jahanara. And so her shrine is there, and the king of Delhi wanted to be buried there, Muhammad Shahrangile. So their 2 tombs are right there on the left, and then further over here to the left off the screen is the tomb of Hazrat Amir Khusro, the great musician who in some ways you would think would be Nizamuddin Ali's successor, but his closest disciple and poet laureate of India, a famous musician, invented the sitar, invented the tablas, invented the Urdu language. Was like Leonardo da Vinci, a real Renaissance being. So when you go to this compound, you always go to Khusro's first. I mean, if you follow their custom, you go to Khusro's and put your head down, then Nizamuddin. This is the fellow disciple of Nizamuddin who was asked to go out and kind of start a sister lineage. So Chishti Nizami is what we were just looking, and this is Alauddin Sabir, up very near close to Hardwar, Alauddin Sabir. And so you have Chishti Nizami and Chishti Sabri. And my music lineage, Hazrat Ali Khan's music lineage, Chishti Sabri. Our Sufi side, Chishti Nizami. The next in the line, also in Delhi, these are all in Delhi, Hazrat Nasiruddin Shiragi Delhi, the light of Delhi, Shirag, the light of Delhi. This is in Fatehpur Sikri, the teacher of Akbar, Salim Chishti. Such a beautiful atmosphere. So many people had such deep experiences there. Okay, so this is a picture of Hazrat Ali Khan's Dargah. I lived around the corner from this in 1976, and this is what it looked like, just like this. On either this side or this side was an iron gate that had a padlock on it. You would have to get Abbas, who was the local tomb keeper, to open it up for you so you could pray, and he was always totally stoned on hash, leery red eyes, and then he would squat while you did your thing, and then he would go on this way. And I went there pretty much every day. I loved going there, but I did want to do a retreat there, just sit there morning till night doing zikr or whatever. Never did. And then one year I went and I met with Khwaja Hassan Sani Nizami. It's a little longer story, but he told me that when he was a young man, Samuel Lewis knocked on his family door and said, I've come here to meet Khwaja Hassan Nizami, the friend of Inayat Khan's who gave the land. And the attendant said, "I'm so sorry, he died last year." And Murshid, our Murshid said, "That's okay, take me to his grave, I can meet him there." Take me to his Dargah, and he did, and he sat at his Dargah, and the attendant went to get Khwaja Hassan Sani Nizami, the son, who was probably 28, 29, 30 at the time, and says, "There's a strange American meditating at your father's Dargah." And he went there, and they became such good friends, and then he said he became like a teacher to me. Khwaja Hassan Sani Nizami is telling me that Murshid Sam, he had no idea there was a lineage after him. So it was one of those meetings where the sparks were flying, and he went to his archive he puts out a periodical every year, and he went to his periodical, and he said, "See, here I had a picture of him, and here's the 10-page letter I translated into Urdu where he was giving me guidance," and so on. And so here's Murshid, and here I don't know. And I can't read the Urdu, but and Anayats too. With great appreciation to Murshid Karim Bakhsh of the Sufi movement, who had the vision and the financing to do this. So the original structure is still there. I mean, you have to keep flipping it around to know which angle it is, but that's the same structure. And then put a place where we could go. And so we've been there with 20 people, 50 people, 70 people, meditated, sang, spent hours and hours because it had the protection to allow us to do that. Here's some other views of Anayats. This is so from the outside. And it's gone through, several incarnations in the last 4 decades of changing and improving the space. Here's the courtyard below where you walk up the stairs to get to the area we just saw. So this is, as far as I know, there's only one other Sufi Dargah in the United States. This is the Dargah of Guru Bawa, or Bawa Muhyiddin, an extraordinary master who appeared out of Sri Lanka. And Coleman Barks is his disciple. So many great beings where his murids are shining their light now. And so I visited there. It's a beautiful place. And
Where is it?
in Pennsylvania. It's outside of, I think, in the countryside near Philadelphia. Have you been there?
No, but I grew up in that area.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you feel like the land. Green awning's kind of funny, but it's beautiful inside. It's very simple and peaceful and elegant. Fine materials. And so let me go on and see what's next. Okay, so I want to show you some of the design development. So it started by me going to Kabir kits. Are you here, Kabir?
Yes.
Yeah.
There he is.
So I said, "Kabir, this is what I'm seeing. Could you draw some pictures?" And he did. He draw some pictures, and it's not that far from this. And then we found our architect from, Lama gave us an architect. And the first design was a little bit bigger and higher dome, and they asked us to make it smaller and lower dome. And so we kept going back and forth. And so this was an early design. This was also an architectural rendering along the way. Even this rendering, and this is the latest rendering, even those they're kind of inaccurate because the porch line is the same line as the edge of the benches, which is about 35 feet 9 inches. 3410. Just got to change. We had to make adjustments when we were on site because of what we found out about different than we knew about, where it butts right up to the Forest Service land, and all the drawings were approved, but we couldn't go 1 inch into the Forest Service. And if you go back here, you see that you see the walls in the front, and not that this drawing is accurate, but on the downhill side, obviously, there's a lot of exposure, and so the treatment of those walls will follow the old Native American Anasazi treatment of the area with local stone. So this is just an old picture of some Anasazi wall, probably, 1,000 years old, or is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hoven Weep.
Say it again.
Hoven Weep.
Hoven
Weep.
Weep. Huh. Okay.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Our architect, Eric, came up with a beautiful design for the floor, and he gave some of these drawings to show how those shapes are arrived at. And what's beautiful is you see this complex geometric pattern, and it only has 5 shapes in it. So when we placed our order for stone, we wanted 54 of these, only 5 different shapes. And the circle and the proportion of one circle to another all goes into the design. These are some examples from the floor to the way the proportions of the dome. And so in that way, it automatically creates a musical resonance in the space that's hopefully naturally pleasing. So it's not a mental idea of what's pleasing, it's an actual following the natural geometry that all creation is based on. And by looking at the floor on the bottom, well, I think the next drawing will give you a better look at the upper drawing. You can see how the footings go deep into the ground. You can understand that there's a landing, a stairway, and then and we had planned to put to leave Murshid's grave where it was and just fit that right in. Whoops, oh sorry. This gives you some of the sense how the dome is designed following the example of the Lama dome, the big dome, and the dome of the old kitchen, which is, what's the word, Asha? Zona?
Zone.
No, I know zone, but it's a combination of zona, polyhedron, and dome, called zone. So it's a certain type of math, and these are some drawings that give you the sense of how the proportions work together. And then you look to the left and you see how the shape of you see the little circles to show all of those go into how the thickness of the pillars, the spacings of things. This gives you a sense of how, if you were like over here, these are the wooden corbels. This is a wooden corbel and a wooden corbel. And this design here, this scalp design, if I go back to those drawings of the Dargah, you'd see it on almost every Dargah. If you go to the Jama Masjid, you'll see it. It's a typical Mughal design, but again, it's based on the circle and then dividing the circle up to smaller circles. And so, aside from being beautiful to my eyes, it's also part of a sacred geometry, and also showing how the height of the pillar, the plinth. Also, you can see here, and which you'll understand later, is that there's a steel member that goes, it connects deep into the earth, and the pillar and the plinth are slipped over that, as well as the wooden corbels. So the back, let's see, the back wall is the only place where we couldn't put a bench because the lay of the land is too steep, so it needed something higher. So aside from just having the natural stone, all the stone will have this beautiful kind of Indian style, or Native American as you call it, carving, but then the back wall will have a relief, Ruhaniat Sufi symbol. Okay, so when the construction started, like I say, the intention was to have the grave mound where it was, right in the middle, but we miscalculated, and it was 1 foot off north to south, east to west, and it was almost 3.5, 4 feet off north to south. So after deliberation, we decided to leave it where it was. So we had to do a little redesign. So now you can see that you enter here, and pretty much almost the center is the edge of the right edge of the mound, the grave mound. So in other words, the grave mound's exactly where it's been, and we've shaped ourselves to that, and we've we had to adjust the stone over for the number of pieces and so on. Just to get a sense, since you're looking at this from above, this is a bench. This is, let's see, no, this is a bench. This is a bench. This is a wall. This is a bench. And this is at grade on the southern side, so that you could actually enter from there. You could even, wheel somebody in from a wheelchair. So this will be the main entrance, and this will be another entrance. And we're used to walking, those of you who've been there, we're walking here, but mostly now we're going to use, we built a construction access path or a road, and that comes around this way, sorry, and kind of comes up here. So you'll be naturally funneled into the entrance from the south side. Did I say this out? Is that the right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, so this is just the old Lama kitchen, and we've also tried to involve ourselves in supporting, preserving this and rebuilding it, almost like a historical building would be, because it's in bad disrepair. Eric, our architect, especially inspired by it, preserving it. Okay, so this is now August, whatever it was, 18th, 19th. Dargah, Gayan, and myself have led a Sufi session, and now it's the Sunday of the Sufi session, and after our meditation, all the meditators agreed to be part of the ceremonial beginning. That's why we're all showing our gloves. And Malik's there too. He's probably taking the picture. And there it was, the kind of the romantic beginning. And here, this is, it's kind of a scary picture. Oh my God, what are you doing? So we had carried that rock bench wall on the east side. We took it apart one by one and passed it down, fireman style. And so we intend to rebuild that at, yes, Molly?
I wanted to show the Buddha that showed up in this photo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so somehow the Buddha showed up in this photo.
Okay. It's like the crow that's of that tree, right?
Exactly.
It's the same thing. It's convincing.
It's very convincing.
So originally, we thought this is where the center of, once we did the measurements, this is where the center was. Right? You can see how off it is. Led by Jai Cross, who planted all the trees after the forest fire. We did a very careful job of moving any tree that was in the construction path, replanting it, and then having a very thorough watering schedule. He's got a big tank on the back of his truck, and Malik's telling me that this tree is doing very well. This was the biggest of all of them. So here you see the construction access path, and I know this has been a difficult part of this process for many beings. I do want to say that even before we had an architect, Lama went to their chief permaculturist at the time, a man named Ben Haggard. I didn't go to him. Lama went to him. How do you feel about making a construction access path? And I was very nervous about what would happen. But he came back with and said, this is a terrific idea. It's very important. It would create a great fire break. Also then he talked about the principle of pilgrimage and making a beautiful way to journey to a place and turning this into a, beautiful path. I mean, he just went on and on, so that said very well for me, but not with other people, So those who liked his report liked it, and those who don't, So, but it was an important moment about 4 years ago.
So will that remain a road, or will it be grassed over and made into more of a path?
So that's a good question, and those decisions Lama and the Dargah Council have agreed to take up later. It may likely be remediated to it's now a quote unquote 10-foot path.
Right.
So it may be remediated to a 6-foot path, and our kind of idea or hope in the future is to be able to have a kind of a powerful John Deere, small vehicle that we could use to ferry people and water equipment and so on. But those are issues that are still in front of us to come to agreements on. And, some of the permaculturists would say, leave that path, make it beautiful. And some of the people would really like 6 foot. So those are probably the two choices that are in front of us, or something in between. Now if you imagine Murshid Sam's Dargah, you come around the turn and it's right here. Mm-hmm. Right? You remember how I said you'd come around from the southern side? Mm-hmm. So
Shabda,
yes.
where is Murshid Avera's?
You'll see it. You'll see it. You'll see it. You'll see it. It'll come along. Okay, so still you can't see it in this, but now you can see the digging's going on. It's kind of a little scary time. But now the steel is going in. Now the bottom layer of concrete, you can see how low down we are compared to the level of the Dargah. Would you say 5 feet, Malik?
Yeah, it's when it's from the slab to the top, the finished wall will be 4 feet.
Okay. Okay, so now what we did, so here, you see these plywoods? Those were just to kind of block off Murshid Avera's is kind of all the way over here, because if you know where it is compared to where this tree is, right? It's down over here. So there's plenty of distance.
So
Plenty of,
come around below, or
yeah, you'll come around this way, it'll be fine. Yeah.
Does the road go between Murshid Avera's and Sam's or below Murshid Avera's?
It's below Murshid Avera's, it's down here.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, quite a bit. And it comes
Probably 40 feet below.
40 feet below, Malik is suggesting. Yeah,
That makes sense.
yeah,
That's where it's more level.
yeah. Coming along, the forms are going in. So down, there's already concrete down below to strengthen everything. Lots of steel. Okay, so Murshid, it's over here. Down over there.
It's that building to the left.
This here is the Dargah retreat hut. And these here were the little benches that were on Forest Service land over here, and one was over here, and we carried them down there. And the same rock bench that was here, it's possible it will get built here at the top of the dance circle, to give some nice seating there. More steel, more retaining walls. So understand now, this is the circle which will support the columns, and this is the edge, 34, what did you say, 34.9?
3410.
3410. Okay. How many yards of concrete did you use?
I think we're getting close to 60. It was 26 yards in the slab and 24 yards in that grade beam that we're looking at right now, and I think it was 10 in the other. So whatever that amounts to. I guess that's close to 60.
These are important to take note. These these are going to be the supports for the steel posts that hold the pillars and create the stability. So 4 feet down of steel will translate going up. All these plans were approved by a structural engineer and a soil engineer. This gives you a closer view. The concrete's poured. These are ready to hold the pillars. The soil was so soft that this was a special mixture of compactable soil so that there'd be a real firm foundation there. These steel posts weigh 300 pounds, so they're doing a pretty good job. And imagine they have to be adjusted so they're like perfectly square, perfectly the right distance and so on. Okay, there they are, an exciting moment in the construction. They're all placed. We have, if you remembered back, or if you look over there, you can see there's a lightning rod. Yeah. So this is the part of the grounding system. Okay. Okay, so this is the preparation for the slab, and the slab is very important because it ties this to this. It ties the whole thing together and makes it a unit. And it has how many, like a 2 degree downslope or 1 degree, what is it?
No, it was 2 degrees.
2 degree downslope so that water will naturally run off. There's all these pipes, there's all sorts of drainage systems in place so that as the water runs off, it'll have a way to get out and so on. Here comes the slab. Here it comes. And they did a very ingenious surrounding of Murshid's grave in that oval shape that we saw. And so there'll be a form there, and then later at the end we can really beautify it back to, using this. We've kept all the white quartz rocks, and so want it to be, in some way same but similar to where we started. And look at that. We got the slab in on last Tuesday, I think it was.
Oh, no.
And then it snowed.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so you can see that slab now, knowing what's underneath it, how it ties everything together. Wood. So all of if you look here, that's all wood corbels. The dome is framed by wood and the awning is framed by wood. That comes to 10,000 board feet of wood. And we had originally called for Doug Fir, and then when the real wood experts, especially a man named Kent Mace, who's been in our family for 40 years, when he heard, he said, "You can't use Doug Fir. It's not going to last." And then he declared northern white oak from Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, like that. And then we looked for it, so the original bid was about $5 a foot for the reclaimed Doug Fir. Then we looked for reclaimed oak. We found some at $8. Oh, no, it wasn't the real thing. It had red oak mixed in it. It had southern white oak. Anyway, finally, we got to, Ken found us this process. It's a real new process of drying wood with microwave. I think it's connected to University of Minnesota. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
And $11 a board foot times 10,000. So that's just the raw wood for the project. And this wood will then be shipped to the timber framer, who will cut it into the corbels. There's 32 corbels. If you count here, you've got 2 between the pillars, right? So that's 16. And then you've got 1 coming on the awning this way, and then you have 1 radiating inward to hold the dome. So all in all, 32. And then after they're all cut, they'll be carved, and they'll be sent to Michael Cothraid in Snowflake, some of you know, and carved, beautifully carved.
May I say
Okay.
Michael made the benches. He designed the benches that are at SSC around Moinadine's Dargah, and he also is commissioned now to make a bench for Murshid Kameh's Dargah.
Yeah, he's a beautiful artist. So this is 2 days ago. We just got this picture. And what's important to understand is that we've done a very serious treatment of waterproofing, not only with material, but also different kinds of glues, or so that there won't be any water seepage. We hope there won't be any water seepage. We still have the stairway to go here. But this is pretty much how it'll be left for the winter. Yeah, so I just want you to, yeah, what's the question?
Do you have any insulation under the grave?
Insulation under the grave.
Yeah.
Murshid's body?
warm? What?
Well, under the soil under the body. Do you have any
No, we
insulation?
didn't want to touch anything about the soil where his body was, so it's insulated by the soil.
I don't think it'll get cold.
I wasn't thinking about cold, I was thinking about water seepage and stuff.
Oh, no.
That's why we
Water-
put in this system.
Yeah, water won't
So,
get to
yeah,
it,
not at
because,
all.
well, water won't get, but it's been getting to it for 40 years, so it seems to have done okay.
Okay.
Murshid's work is still going okay with the water. I want, if you could just take a minute, if you'd like to. This is, Ravi has been the Lama Ruhaniat
Non-resident.
non-resident liaison. He lives off the hill. He's one of Lama's. His wife was the Lama coordinator for 7 years, and so he's a beloved of Lama and a beloved of our family. And he was describing me what a sacred process that construction was. He's been an amazing worker. So just take a minute. I sent them rose petals from Anayat's tomb to put in at a certain time, so that's included in this.
No.
You can't?
Somebody read it
Huh?
out loud. Not everybody.
Can I read it? Sure.
wants to read it.
Who does?
Layla.
Oh yes, I would love it if Layla read it. Yes, come Layla.
There's a printed version in the,
Yeah,
if you'd rather read it off print, there's one in the photo album.
it's all right. There we go.
Oh, that would be maybe easier.
Well, just take a minute.
My name is Ravi Babcock, and I'm a member of Sufi, Ruhaniat International, and devotee of Murshid Sam's teachings. My life was changed by my frequent visits to Murshid's Dargah site as a 5-year Lama Foundation resident and personal hermitage in the small hut nearby. After moving away from the foundation, I have served the Dargah project as a lover of both organizations. By the grace of God, I have been fortunate to work alongside the various crews in this first phase of construction, going up the mountain most days since August to help. We cut back clumps of scrub oak and carefully transplanted pine trees to open the access way. Day by day, watching the Dargah site being cleared, leveled and excavated, I went to touch my forehead on the foot of the white quartz stone mound, as I have done for each time I visited in the years I've been there. The mound is still in its original place, with the new work taking shape around it. One morning I was praying as usual about my personal situation, asking for guidance and so forth. That time, however, I felt an awareness that more than just me was praying. It felt to me like a number of Murshid Sam's murids were also present, all the hearts who have discussed and debated the various pieces of this project, those who donated money, and especially powerful to me was an awareness of those future devotees not yet born, who would find some inner peace when visiting the Dargah. Since that morning, I am inspired that my simple efforts are in service to something vaster and greater than I can understand, something so needed in this world today. A concern I have often heard is that the construction equipment is at odds with the subtle and special Baraka energy of Murshid's resting place. And so I have been taking time to look at the subtle energies at the site as the site has been cleared out, opened up and transformed on a physical level. A recent experience opened my eyes about the Baraka at the Dargah. In preparation for the slab, we brought in some sand and gravel mixed to make everything level, and constructed a grid of metal rebar over the entire floor space of the site, which is an octagon about 35 feet across. One morning, I was awkwardly kneeling on this rebar and praying, and saw that the stone mound had objects glowing with points of lights all over it. People have placed these various small objects all over the mound for years. I marveled for a moment that the light that I could perceive from the stone mound was still the same as my previous years of visiting the Dargah, in spite of the physical changes. At that moment, I experienced a download of information into my mind, and an internal voice asked, "Why should the energy change? The prayers have not changed." In my mind's eye, I saw the light from the sacred objects expand to encompass the entire space of the new Dargah. I experienced a clear feeling of knowing that Baraka was in each molecule of imported gravel and sand, in each molecule of metal in the rebar grid, and would be in each molecule of the upcoming cement slab. The floor space was now an interrupted sea of light in my mind's eye. Just before the slab was poured earlier this week, I moved some, but not all, of the sacred objects from the mound and placed them here and there under the rebar grid. Pir Shabda sent a bag of dried roses from the Dargah of Hazrat Naik Khan. They were sprinkled throughout the floor space as well. And so the new cement slab literally rests on a bed of sacred roses. This is the foundation on which we will all gather and practice together. As the work closes down for the winter, I am appreciative of the prayers, support, and thoughts that are being sent from all over. My body is tired from the demanding cement work, but my spirit is enlivened.
Wow. Yeah, shouldn't I sort of sit so people can see?
That's Murshid Lama photographed by him.
So this picture, I think, is taken by Murshid Saul at Lama Foundation.
Yeah.
Many in our Murshid circle have supported this, and I especially appreciate the support of Murshid Saadi, and so he's going to share a few words.
Made when we were doing the dedication 2 years ago. One thing I wanted to say to this group is we tend to presume that things are better if they stay the same. And while change for change's sake is not necessarily good, there are things going on in the world that make, I feel, this project not only important but very crucial for our community at this time. I was on the fence for a while about this. I was in the group that rebuilt the Dargah from the original Dargah. If you ever saw any pictures of it from 1973, 74, it was quite different than the way most of you will have seen it. Under Murshid Wali Ali's guidance and inspiration, a group of us went up and spent a month at Lama in 1982 and rebuilt the Dargah. And that was quite a bit different from the way it originally was. That's when the dance ground was re-leveled and all that. On that particular work party retreat, I was at Murshid's Dargah many times while working on it, and also at different times of the day and night, and received a very clear image, you could say, well, I would call it a vision, of a network. And now in 1982, a network was it was a very new term. No one had heard the word network. And having just met Murshida Tasneem Fernandez, who has graced us with her presence here, this vision of a network for the dances of universal peace arose with the idea that the dances should be freed, you could say like a seed pod, from that nurturing home that they had had in the early Sufi communities. And in some ways, it's appropriate if you consider, we saw the image of Salim Chisti's Dargah, where Murshid received the vision of the dances. It's perfectly appropriate that we would receive this vision of an international spreading of the dances, a very purposeful international spreading at his Dargah. But Murshid wrote this paper, Murshid Sam, Vision and Ritual in Sufism. Real Sufism happens from vision. Ritual sort of, how would we say, consolidates that later. So then people think that ritual is what it's all about. But it's all about vision, actually. It's about transmission. No vision comes through and is just easily accomplished in a certain way. Tasneem and I proceeded with the vision, and it was a real vision. I think it's been proven by the fact that many of you here may not have come to Sufism without that spreading of the dances internationally. That's certainly true of our larger community. And at the same time, we weren't always skillful about how we implemented that. We stepped on people's toes, and apologies are due for a lot of that, our unskillfulness. So when one gets really inspired by a vision, it takes a certain amount of inner force, inner baraka, to see that through in what an icon calls mastery of accomplishment. Let's look at what's going on in the world at the present time. Moinuddin Chisti's Dargah was bombed a few years ago by terrorists. It wasn't harmed, but there were bombings around it. Datagang Bakshi's, which is Al-Bujwiri's Dargah in Pakistan, which is another place where Murshid Sam received very deep visions, has also been bombed in recent years. Unreported, obviously, in any of the media here, which is largely uninterested in the rest of the world, unless we can label them as enemies. Various Sufi Dargahs in Iran have been bulldozed overnight. The Kaaba, which is the ultimate place of pilgrimage, is still there, but Prophet Muhammad's house was bulldozed and made into a public latrine to prevent personal worship of this. The Hajj itself has been made into, where you see the Kaaba. What they don't show you now in the pictures is that it's surrounded by 5, 6, 7-star hotels. And so there are now luxury Hajj tours, which are specifically for the elite. And that's what led to this stampede that was there a couple of months ago, because all the high rollers, if you will, all the clear roads were left for the high rollers, and everyone else was squashed into one little road. So a stampede was inevitable, actually. This is the sort of thing that's going on around the world. In terms of Dargahs, PowerPoints, we know, looking around, Tibetan Buddhism has survived primarily in diaspora today, not in its homeland. We're looking at a situation in which Sufism is heading, perhaps has already entered that phase. Natalia and I visit every year, we visited every year for 5 years, to a Muslim Sufi community in South Africa, where the sheikh there says that he's received the inner vision that the only safe place for a Sufi to live, any Sufi, not just Western Sufi, is in a country where Muslims will never control the government. Yeah, let that sink in for a moment. So again, we may already be at the stage where certain elements of the baraka of our transmission, not just of the Ruhaniat, but in the larger Sufi transmission, may survive somewhere else than in its heartland for a while, but then can be re-imported back to its homeland at some point, inshallah, in the future. This is what I see as a possibility. In addition to that, as I wrote in this article for the Lama newsletter last year, Murshid Sam's Dargah may be very important as a marker for Lama itself to remain as an interspiritual community. This is very rare these days. Any of these early interspiritual communities, hardly any of them survive, except for Lama. Findhorn, most people don't know, but it's in my country. Findhorn has largely become a large corporation that buys and sells real estate and forces poor people out of their homes to make money. And then rich German tourists come and think they're doing a New Age tour in the north of Scotland. So that's, these sorts, Lama is still hanging on to this, you could say, this sense of the early idealism, the Baraka, the ideal that people from different religions could actually live together, follow their own paths, and live together and emulate or exhibit for the world what the world could be like. So places like Lama are also very rare. And Murshid Sam's grave being in this form could be that sort of marker to help that. One last thing, and then I'll shut up. It has to do with the nature of sacrifice, which is a big theme in native traditions and in all old traditions. We are constantly making sacrifices for the privilege of being human. We make sacrifices whenever we drive or ride in a car of a certain sort, not personal, but for the planet. We make sacrifices even, in fact, when we use a bank account and participate in a financial system that probably is not sustainable in the long run for the Earth's health. We make sacrifices, when we travel. We make sacrifices when we eat food grown by agriculture, because agriculture was perhaps the first great ecological cataclysm for the planet in its natural state. So I'm saying nothing remains in its natural state, and sacrifices have to be made occasionally for things that are worthwhile. This, friends, I feel is very worthwhile. So if you've been sitting on the fence, I hope you would join and lend your support, even if only your prayers. That is extremely important, because miracles are done because miracles need to be done. Money is secondary. Money is a fiction, frankly. If we do this, we could have another vision of something, and then we know we can do that. And money doesn't matter. We started the Dances of Universal Peace Network on $500, friends. In 4 years, we were running almost $500,000 through our accounts. This is beside the fact that we weren't making $500,000 and we were running in the red, and Tasneem and I were doing this for free all the time. But that doesn't matter. If we had started out to think, okay, we got to raise $500,000 a year to spread the dances international, we never would have done it. We just started out doing the thing, and then as they say, it all just flowed through. So it's about Anyway, you've heard all this stuff. So I'll say amen and Yafatah to the project. It is happening. It will happen. We will see it next year. Now's the time to jump on board and alhamdulillah. And thanks to our dear Pir Shabda for taking it on and being willing to be the bad guy who's been the target. Yeah, really. It's a crucifixion. So,
I'm having a good time. It taught me a lot. I learned a lot. I don't want to stay on this too much longer. So many people have come up to me over the years and said, "It's so beautiful that you're honoring your teacher." And for me, I always answered, no, that's not it. I want to give him a better place to teach from, a better facility. Yes, we will be honoring him. I feel there's a kind of a resonance that this will be completed, and inshallah, the biography will come. And Murshid, who's not easy to meet through his writing, send someone volume 2, they meet Inayat Khan, but okay, what are you going to send them of Murshid's? Where they can meet him like that. Though his stature in the inner world as a supporter of the planet's involvement is vast. So here comes the biography, here's this shrine. I look at it that way, it feels like it'll be a great impulse to help human beings on the path of mysticism to relieve their suffering and bring joy and wholesome. So I have great hope for it and very pleased and proud. And so we've raised $530,000. We probably need another 300. I mean, something like that. And so we, many of you have been very, very generous. Karmically, it's exciting if everybody puts something, like whatever, $20, $5, $100, and even if many people give 100, you're there. It's not that many people. But we do invite this, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity to participate, to put in a good deal. And you can pledge it over several years, and but if you are thinking about it, soon is good, because we're in the process. So soon is good. So if you're inspired now, send us a check. It's all there on the website, and again, real deep apologies to those of you who have been offended by the project and it doesn't work for you, and I know it's a fait accompli, it's happening, and so I hope that you can at least make friends with that it's happening, and thank you so much. So
I did want to just
oh
say,
yes, okay, go ahead. Why do that?
if you want to see the letter that Murshid Sadi wrote after visiting Lama last fall, I added a copy to the photo album that's up here on the altar, and also the letter from Ravi is in that photo album. So both of those are there. There's another copy of Murshid Sadi's letter over here on the flyer table, along with a printed out copy of the frequently asked questions, question and answers. It's a 4-page of thoughts that we kept coming to us. So along with brochures. So if this project is something that might ring valuable in your communities when you go home, take 20 or 30 with you. There are a lot more brochures here. If we run out, or if you want to get a pile from me, it's me. Come see me.
Yeah.
I'm happy to
And
meet your questions.
Most of the monies come by personal contact. So if all of you who are connected by heart picked 3 to 5 people that you knew that you would call and say, hey, how about giving us $10,000 or $5,000? Whatever. It's just a bunch of money. It's according to everybody. You might know 2 or 3 people like that. So if 10 of us did that in this room who were on fire, that works. So thank you so much. And Tansen, come on. Yes, okay, I'm Jelani.
No, I just wondered if there was any chance that clip that you talked about, since we're all sitting here and the film thing's up there, the clip of Murshid Sam that was discovered, would it be possible for us to see that?
Say it again, the clip.
I think they
Oh, the video. Okay, so that'll be happening. Give Tawaba a few minutes, and a little bit to unfold her relationship with the author of the movie, and then we, once
we'll get it on our website.
Right. Once permission is clear, it'll go on to the Ruhaniat YouTube site, and that's a very rich place. And thanks to Anayat, who's now the head of the video part of our tech committee, the whole tech committee, and so that's still to come. Yeah.
Well,
be links on Ruhaniat.org for that as soon as it's available.
Thank you for allowing me to share this with you. Thanks so much.
So stay where you are.
So yeah, stay where you are. Wally Ali is going to do a practice, and then there's a couple of initiations.
Guru Bawa came to one of our dance meetings in San Francisco. Next to Murshid Sam, he had the most joy of anybody I've ever met. That was really beautiful. There's already books talking about the presence of Dargahs in America. Murshid was mentioned. They got the wrong location, but and they put it in Albuquerque. Some of you will laugh when you hear that.
There's a mosque there.
Yeah, I know what's there. Unless God builds it, no, you can't build it. You know, that's the way it is. And God has definitely been behind this, and it's been a big test for Pir Shabda. You know, he deserves about 8 purple stars for patience and taking the blows of the projections people have put on this. It will be something beautiful for people, and it was Murshid's wish that this happened. So now it's happening, and the very righteous reactions people have around it, are real, and the mountain is sacred to people, and we've tried to be very aware of that and in our approach, and that's why we've gone gently and firmly forward through many different people. But what I'm doing now is really kind of just trying to clear the atmosphere, and we want to move forward, and let's just do this practice. I used to wake up in the morning because I slept in the front room where I still sleep actually, but the next room, and then Murshid would be doing his practices in the front room, the one facing the street, and he would always be up before me, but he would be there doing the practice that his peer in Pakistan, Sufi Barkat Ali, had given him, and which Murshid transmitted to us, to a few of us, as a practice of great mastery. It is a practice I love to give on retreat, and it's a very balancing practice. Murshid did it in the Indo-Pakistani manner with the Z sound rather than the DH sound. It's Yazal Jalali Wal Ikram. Yazal Jalali Wal Ikram. Zal, or Dal, means the boundless, absolute, eternal reality. It's the only one of the wazifas that names it specifically. And what it's saying is that that's primary, and out of this comes all power and all great generosity of heart. Because ikram means kareem to the nth degree. It's an elative of kareem. So kareem means tremendous generosity of heart, unbelievable generosity of heart, and ikram means even beyond that, much greater than what you can imagine. So what it's saying is, out of the boundless source of all reality, arises the manifestation of all power and all beauty, which is held in that eternal embrace. So let's just do this wazifa 33 times together, with this sense of the blessing of Murshid, of Abdul Qadir Jilani, who Murshid invited with this mantra, who sits at the perpetual head of the spiritual hierarchy. As he said, my foot is on the neck of all the walis. and that's not intended as something bad. It's something good, you know. Let's do this practice together. In the classical Arabic, it would be Yadal Jalali. So we're going to say, Yazal Jalali Wali Kram, 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 Yazal Jalali Wali Kram. I'm calling on the blessings of all the saints and masters, Abdul Qadir Jilani, Prophet Muhammad, all the great Sufis in chain. We ask for their blessing for this Dargah, for America,